Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be focusing on the collaborative design process with a focus on collaborating with lighting consultants, giving you a PM's perspective, which is a project management consultant's perspective. So just a little bit about the company. I work for Turner Construction in India. It's called Turner Project Management India Private Limited. We were founded in New York City. That's where we are headquartered in 1902. We currently have over 11,000 employees. We are a general contractor in the US. However, outside of the US, we are project management consultants. Currently working on 2,000 active projects in US and Canada. Internationally, we've worked in over 60 countries. Our first project was actually in Hong Kong. We've done the Taipei 101 in Taiwan, Burj Khalifa, so some of the tallest buildings in the world. Most recently was the Statue of Unity, which I'll also talk about from the point of view of lighting design. We offer services end-to-end, right from project management to pre-construction, cost consultancy, and BIM. So in India, we've been here for over 15 years. We're headquartered in Mumbai, but have offices in Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Delhi, mostly site offices. Over 450 employees currently. Our core business is still project management, but pre-construction, cost consultancy, shared services is also something that we offer. And I spoke a little bit about this, but as part of our pre-construction services as well as project management services, we perform design management. This is the stage where we onboard consultants like lighting consultants, depending upon the project need. So amongst all of our design management deliverables that you see there, right from project setup to consultant coordination and management to organization of meetings, review and risk assessment, one of the key ones is actually project-specific consultant recommendation list. And it's a very collaborative process, depending upon at what stage we as PMCs are brought on board. So we, along with the client and maybe a couple of consultants who may be onboarded, decide on if and when which type of consultant is needed on board, and it could be a lighting consultant. So this particular slide actually encapsulates everything that goes into consideration from a PM's perspective in terms of when and why do we need a lighting consultant. So the key determining factors would be the client vision, right? I think it's extremely important to understand what is it that the client wants out of the project. The project brief is the single most important part of initiating a project. And if the look and feel is part of that, right? So if lighting is an integral part of that project brief, it's important for us as PMCs to understand so that we can recommend the right kind of consultants for it. The project type, of course. So is it a unique project or is it a typical project? You know, does a residential project need a lighting consultant? Does a statue need a lighting consultant? Does a museum need a lighting consultant? So that's our second determining factor in terms of the value add a lighting consultant can bring on board. The need for specialists, as I mentioned, related to client vision and project type. The stage of design. So this is extremely important for any consultant to be onboarded, including ourselves. If we are brought onto the project sooner than later, which is either at concept or schematic, we're at the right stage to recommend the right kind of people on the project. But if it's an afterthought, that we just want somebody to manage the construction or we just want somebody to accentuate the building, it may not be the right time to get a lighting consultant on board. What should be the deliverables? So I think this is also extremely important. Depending upon the project type and contracting strategy, a lot of lighting consultants that we've worked with just give their input at the time of concept and schematic, and then it gets handed over to the GC or an EPC contractor to take it over, and the original intent gets diluted. So it's extremely important that when a lighting consultant is brought on board, the deliverables are such that they are carried through across each of the design stages, right from concept schematic on to testing and commissioning and handover. Integration and coordination with key consultants. So we can't have lighting consultants work in silos. My previous slide showed a very collaborative design approach where we have design workshops, and every possible consultant, it could be the key consultants, which is the architect, structural engineer, the MEP engineers, but also the lighting consultant who should be in that meeting to understand what is the intent and how should that eventually be taken forward. value add optimization. So we've worked on a few projects where a lot of clients don't think there is any value add by getting a lighting consultant on board. The lighting consultant is actually going to take the budget up because we may not need that kind of input from them. So I think it's extremely important for us as PMCs and for the consultants, of course, to be able to educate the client as to the value add that can be brought in. And we have seen on a couple of projects that a lot of value engineering has actually come from a lighting consultant versus other things, because just by changing the type of fixtures or recommending something which looks like what is intended but comes at a lesser price. So we actually call it value optimization. We don't call it value engineering anymore, has come from lighting consultants. And then finally, what I mentioned here, engagement post-design stage, which is often missing in several contracts that we see with lighting consultants, which is all the way, post-GFC stage. It comes to procurement, construction, monitoring, testing and commissioning. And you will see here I have not mentioned budget, right? Because I feel a lot of times we put together the budget and keep out certain key consultants who are required. So I don't mention that as a key determining factor because that dilutes the whole process. So I'll take you some of our projects where we, some of these projects are completed and some are ongoing and about to be completed, where we collaborated with lighting consultants. So this one was recently inaugurated, which is the Kempegowda International Airport in Bangalore. And we had BPI New York as the lighting consultant who collaborated with SOM, CH2M, Hill, Stoop, and L&T, that was EPC. This was an EPC type of contract, which meant that the lighting consultant gave their input up till SD stage, and it was handed over to L&T. However, what is interesting about this project is that the original intent was maintained. So the whole airport was designed, it's called a garden in the terminal. So they wanted to use biophilia, and to accentuate that, you would see each of the different areas of the airport, be it the T2 arrival or T2 departure, the retail area, has different types of lights that serve the actual purpose. This is Statue of Unity in Kevadia, Gujarat. It is currently the tallest statue in the world at 182 meters. We had Michael Graves was the architect for this project, and DPA Lighting was the lighting consultant. For this particular project, DPA Lighting, Turner, and Michael Graves went through several rounds of calculations because this is a really tall statue on a very small base. So they had to see which was the right angle to light the statue so that it was not overpowering, yet met the intent. So if you see, the laser show that was done, as well as the lighting that is currently in place at different times of the day. And I would say this was a very successful collaboration that happened with the lighting consultant. They were on board early on, which was at SD stage, and they stayed on the project till the time it was inaugurated, and post that, because all of the laser lighting was done through them as well. This is Phoenix Citadel Mall. This is an example of a project where we had Atelier Dada, a big lighting consultant, on board. They were appointed at SD. And the mall, this project is actually completed now. This mall has been designed on an Italian and French theme. And essentially, it was a mix of use of chandeliers and downlights that were used across the project. So again, I call this a successful collaboration. So while we as PMCs do not comment on the design intent, we got them on board at the right stage so that even at the time of opening, whatever had to be done was done by the lighting consultant within the given budget as well. So Birla Vanya, this is an example of not a very successful project, even though we had the lighting consultant on board. So we had T2, and based on the initial budget that the client had put for this project, there was lighting, a lighting intent given for the landscape areas, for the common areas, as well as the facade. However, somewhere between the DD stage, the client cut down the budget and only gave certain areas to the consultant. So there's not much the consultant could do on this job. And like I said, the intent and eventually the product did not really match. So this, I would probably say from a lighting standpoint, not a very successful collaboration that happened. This is going to be inaugurated soon, which is the Delhi International Airport T1, another EPC type of contract with L&T. We have light competence on board. They were appointed initially at CD, but then were brought again on board at DD, where they are working in conjunction with L&T to ensure that their lighting intent, the fixtures that are actually procured, etc., are all as per what was suggested in the design brief. And then this is the Bridge Arts and Cultural Center Museum, very different project type, currently in the design stage, over 1.3 million square feet. We don't have a local lighting consultant on board for this particular project, but we do have Max Fordham, and they have been appointed at CD stage. So their scope actually is all the way from CD up until GFC, including construction monitoring. They are even involved in procurement and assisting in procurement of fixtures and inspection as well. So the kind of lighting which has been proposed by Max Fordham here across the different areas, there are 7 different building types within this Arts and Cultural Center. So I've just put in pictures for the visitor center, the library, the gallery and academy. Again, depending upon the requirement, extremely different lighting intents. So I'd like to end here and essentially like to say that I think it's really key, one, for us to educate the client as far as the requirement of a lighting consultant goes, because we do feel on several of our projects that they have brought in the right kind of value, and to be getting them on board at the right stage. And that, I think, can help in project success. Thank you.